we are so excited for you guys to be here.
Hey, hi, Julie.
Oh my gosh, we'll kind of let people come in a little bit. I'm so happy you guys are here. Carly's, your earrings are back.
Yeah, I got it. Oh, it's this one.
So good, they look really great. Hi, Sandy, hi. We are Vortex Babes, that is correct. I will tell you a little bit about how we met once we get going. And those lightning bolt earrings are a key there. I am so in love with Carly. She is my Gemini goddess queen. And I am so happy that you all are here. Hi, Kaz. Kaz is over across the pond. It's late there, but she's a little night owl. I always get to experience beautiful Kaz wonders through her. She does a lot of mermaiding things and body belly dancing and wonderful things. It's amazing, but wonderfully she is usually awake when I am doing things, even if it's only 1:30, so that's not terrible.
We're on lockdown or like whatever, like we are. What even?
I know, I was like, what are you guys really doing right now that you can't come?
Time.
So, hello, tell us where you're coming in from, tell us how you're feeling, give us some hearts, give us some love, and I'm gonna send it over to Carly, and tell us who you are, Carly, and welcome you guys to this is called Embracing the Art of Authentic Vulnerability, the path to manifesting everything you desire. So, woo!
Okay, yeah, so I'm Carly. I am 25 years old. I'm from Boston. Me and Mary, actually, we were originally in Los Angeles for Gala Darlings Vortex Fest, which for me was my spirituality journey. But I won a ticket to Angel Phoenix's event, and then Gabby Rosie invited me to go see Russell Brand, and that's where I met Mary, and then I saw her the next day, and I'll let you talk about the lighting. But yeah, I'm an esthetician, a brow shaper specifically.
She's got great brows.
But she taught me everything I know. But yeah, so I've been on my spiritual awakening sort of thing for a while now. And Noelle, get out. Sorry, my sister's here. No, I'm on. Oh, now. Noelle, seriously, leave. Okay.
No, Noelle.
My sister being annoying. In case anyone's wondering, she's asking for weed. And honestly, that's what she's being annoying about.
I mean,
all right. Well, that was awkward. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, and I have a younger sister who is 23. She is great. She's a hairdresser, so we're both in the same industry. Oh, someone just said hi to Noelle. Someone who knows.
Let's Kaz.
But yes, I've been an esthetician for 5 years. I've been embarking on my I like how what does Brene Brown call her breakdown, her spiritual awakening, but it was actually more of a breakdown. It'll be 3 years in September since me and my ex-husband separated, and the world kind of just brought me to my knees, and the way that I was living was just not working, and I had no idea what the fuck was going on, what the fuck I was going to do. I left a marriage and no game plan. And just a series of events happened that led me, more so, I got into the self-love and self-development stuff through witchcraft, from my dear friend Melissa, who I hope hops on here at some point. She's an angel. We went to Salem State, which is Witch City. So I lived in Witch City for a while, so a lot of us got into witchcraft. And that was really the starting point to my journey of just really radicalizing the love for myself and knowing that when I'm aligned with who I am, that's the only way I'm ever going to be of service of others. So yeah, basically that's it. And then, Gala Darling became a huge influence in my life. And then I found different teachers through her. And she was the first, spiritual or, I don't New Age teacher, so to say. And actually invested money in to take courses. And the first course I took was Radical Rituals Abundance, and it was amazing. And yeah, so ever since then, I've just been diving into shedding what doesn't serve me and what does. And it's not easy. It's never going to end. That I've come to understand. But I want to just be my most authentic self. I feel like I was naturally born the most vulnerable person in the entire world, and refine that. I like to call myself a recovered drama queen, so to say, because vulnerable people are like that. And that's the basis of what I wanted to talk about. Was for that reason is I discovered that's my main skill and what I connect with the most. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing and introducing yourself to people who might not know you. And for people that are joining in from your crowd or finding us from wherever, I am Mary, and I also go by Uncustomary, which is my business. And I used to introduce myself as someone, the first thing that I would say was that I had mental illnesses since I was 8 years old. And I've recently completely restructured that because that is not who I am. That's something about me. And now I'm you know what? I have my business, which is about self-love, body positivity, kindness, optimism, and practical optimism. Someone called me that recently, a practical optimist, and I'm really loving that because when I was younger, I kind of did this toxic positivity thing a little bit, where I think we can all kind of get into where we slap a gratitude list on something, we don't dive deeper into the problems, and now I'm really going into stuff, and I kind of catch you with all this colorful, fun imagery and stuff, but then I'm let's talk about mental health issues, so I really want to dive deeper into things and really talk about real shit. But yeah, but I do come at that with the experience of working in a psych rehab and a psych degree and having now a new diagnosis of 6 diagnoses, and just knowing that I can come from an extremely dark place and feel like a living rainbow at the same time, or both, or at the end of the tunnel, So I'm an author, and I call myself a merriment maker because there wasn't really a job description for me out there, so I made one, and I'm so happy that you all are here, and thank you all for joining in. If you are joining in, please tell us where you're from, and I just wanted to quickly say a little bit more about the magic of Carly and my connection. When I went out to LA, which was a miracle in itself that I was able to get there because I was almost facing eviction. I got there and I asked the universe for a sign before I left, when I was on the plane. And I asked the universe while I was out there, could I please see a lightning bolt? And I didn't see one. The first few days I was there, I was it's not happening, it's not there. And I was okay, well, that's my answer.
Sorry to interrupt, but you have a few signs from the universe, because I know ducks are one of yours.
Right. So I asked for specific things for different reasons. So the duck was for ducks are kind of my new thing with ducks are so hot right now, hashtag. But it's kind of this innate passion that's just become so organic with my business. So I asked for a sign with the duck also. I asked for 2 signs. One was with the duck, and I got that immediately getting off the plane. As soon as I got in the lift, there was a duck quack was the text sound from the Lyft driver, and I was and everywhere I went, there were ducks. It was insane. But then the other sign that I was asking was something more personal, and it was the lightning bolt. And I was I'm not getting this, and maybe that's my answer, So I met you the night before when we were seeing Russell Brand in person, and the next day we were at Vortex Fest. We were at this magical place full of disco balls and more stuff than you can ever imagine. And you come around me and you hug me, and your lightning bolt like lands here, and I have like a neck thing. So I was like, oh, I don't want that to touch my neck. So I kind of turned around and I was like, oh, but then I looked and it was this bright, you can see them. They're these bright, magical, neon pink lightning bolt earrings. And I was like, ah! And I told you, and like we almost just like cried together in this just like moment of connection of like, holy crap. So it was beautiful. And that was like, I mean, we already just like really connected, but it was, yeah, and we have not stopped talking since. And now we have decided to do this Instagram Live together. We're both East Coast babes. I'm in Baltimore, she's in Boston. And yeah, tell us, Carly, what everybody can expect today from today's video, from tuning in.
So basically, so the way that me and Mary met, we are part of Gala Darling's Vortex, and there was the challenge of the week, and it was about making like a big commitment or, deciding to do something. And ever since I got back from Los Angeles, I've just been like, I saw myself in Gala and an angel and in all of the, and I'm just like, I have the ability to do that. What's holding me back? Like, why do I keep giving myself these bullshit excuses? And it's just so ridiculous. And so it was March 24th when I read this, and it was like, make a big commitment or take a big risk. And I was like, you know what? I want to start like honing in on like my, like, I don't like to use the word life coach because people who know me personally know I'm a fucking disaster sometimes.
We all are.
I know that I have things to offer that other people just simply don't have, and that's not a bad thing. I just know that I like was brought into this world like vulnerable, not just because I was an infant baby, but like since like my earliest memories, I just remember being this raw, authentic, like over, I guess when you're a child is what they'll call it. But just being so open to the things that people would say and the things that people would listen when I would talk, and it became, I didn't realize that it was the pillar of who I am. And so I really want to, this is going to be like the forefront of whatever the fuck it is that I'm going to be creating from this, but I know it's going to be focused a lot around vulnerability. Of course, I've been studying a lot of Brené Brown's work because she has the doctorates and the PhDs and the years of research that I simply do not have. But it's nice going into her research and combining it with the stuff that I feel I already know, like in my soul. So yeah, I just want to talk about vulnerability, kind of what that means to each of us, because it is a multitude of things, and what being vulnerable can mean to you and kind of what it can do for your life. But for me, I really believe when you're authentically coming from a place of vulnerability, it's like the fast track to like manifesting every single thing that you want. And I realized like a year ago, I was not in the place that I am. I mean, none of us were because we're all like, in quarantine and stuff. But I did not have the job that I have right now. I did not have the peace that I have right now. So many things. And I know I got all of those things, not only because my mind was working towards it, but because I was vulnerable. And I allow myself to be authentically myself. Difference, and we'll probably get into that eventually, between letting it all air out and just dirty laundry. Vulnerability and that are different. But I've always just been extremely vulnerable, open, authentic about who I am and what's brought me to where I am. And I know that that's the reason that I've gotten every single thing I have desired the last year. Everything I wrote down that I wanted a year ago, I have today. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about what vulnerability means to each of us, what vulnerability has the potential to open up, tangible ways for you to practice vulnerability, opportunities to practice vulnerability in this potentially like current circumstance and pandemic. And stick around because we're going to be offering a free tapping/EFT session on your face. At the end, I'm going to be giving out a free PDF worksheet, and there's a huge discount on the Uncustomary Babes membership. So stick around till the end. Yay! All right, are we ready to get started? So let's talk about what being vulnerable means to each of us. And I encourage all of you to tell us right now, what does vulnerable mean to each of you? Do you kind of already started talking about what vulnerability means to you? Do you want to keep going?
Yeah, so vulnerability is an interesting thing because it's going to vary person to person. It's going to depend on many different variables: age, gender, culture, environment, social status, economic status. So something that could be vulnerable to me might not be to you, and vice versa.
Right.
So examples of like some vulnerability, like for me, I've been really having to practice setting boundaries in order to embrace the authentic, vulnerable person that I want to be. Saying no when I just don't fucking feel like doing that, and not in like a let me put it off kind of way, but in a, you know what, that's not going to make me feel good. That doesn't align with what I am working towards. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to pass. Vulnerability could be asking for help. Some people have a really hard time asking for help. I know some areas I have no problem asking for help, and other areas it's like pulling teeth. Standing up for yourself in a way that's kind of like a tricky one. But, you know, as somebody who, I know I'm not that person, but a lot of people take on this role of being an emotional punching bag. And a vulnerable thing for them is to be able to stand up for themselves and be like, no, I'm not doing this. You're not going to take this frustration out on me. Go figure out something to do with it. Or here's some tips on how to do with it. Whatever. It's not your problem regardless. Calling a friend if they're grieving and if you're uncomfortable with death. I know that can be a really tricky one because no one ever knows what the fuck to say to people when they've lost someone. That's extremely vulnerable for both people. And, but I think the biggest thing for me about vulnerability in my example is being accountable. And being accountable for the goals that I set, the intentions that I set, the things that I say I'm going to do. That is probably where my vulnerability struggles the most because I have a very hard time at keeping myself accountable because I'm really good at making excuses for myself that not only can I make everybody else believe, but I can make myself believe too.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, so if you look at like in the actual dictionary, vulnerability is defined as the quality or state of being exposed to the possibility or of being attacked or harmed, either physically or emotionally. But Brene Brown makes it a little more simpler of just uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. And we often think that like bravery and courage are and bravery and courage are like over here and vulnerability is over here, but they actually are not opposite ends of the spectrum at all. They really overlap. They are one and the same because it takes courage to be vulnerable. And we are taught courage as a value, and a virtue at a very young age. And that vulnerability is a weakness, especially in men. And we need to be taught both things in conjunction with each other and understand that they overlap and intertwine and intermingle, and you can't really have one without the other. And also, I think it's really important to understand that vulnerability is not a finite game. You cannot win vulnerability. Like, this is not something that's a competition. It's just something that is nonlinear and continuing. And I just want to also just keep in mind for us with time that we can't save it if it's not under an hour. So just to keep in mind that it's keep going until 9:30. So the next thing that we wanted to touch on is what vulnerability has the potential to open up. So do you have any thoughts on that? Like what it blasts open for you?
So obviously Brene Brown's like, if you haven't checked her out. Brene Brown's like the master of this shit.
She's done like 20 plus years of research. Like I have a book over here. Daring Greatly is a really good one. She has a special on Netflix right now. There's a really great podcast with her and Russell Brown. Seriously, like dive deep.
So, what was your question again?
What vulnerability has the potential to open up for you?
Yeah, so the thing with vulnerability is tenacity and grit's going to get you so far, but vulnerability is the thing that teaches us how to deal with uncertainty and managing emotional risks that we really don't know what the outcome is going to be. And from I'm quoting Brene Brown here again from some of the research I've done on her, but she was talking to an entrepreneur, I might be getting this wrong, Gay Gaddis, the founder of the think tank. Mm-hmm. And her quote is, when you shut down vulnerability, you shut down opportunity.
Yeah.
And entrepreneurship is all about vulnerability every single day.
Yeah.
So if we want to look at it from a business perspective, because I feel like that's what's going on in our minds a lot right now during this current pandemic.
A lot of fear and uncertainty with money.
A lot of uncertainty, a lot of do we even fucking like the job that we have?
Yeah.
I do love my job. Don't get me wrong. But a lot of we've been stripped away of the things that make us comfortable. We're all, as a collective, for the first time, probably fucking ever, and definitely this amount of
awareness. Yeah.
The awareness is heightened to a level that's like exponential, and I can't even believe what's happen. But so from an entrepreneurial standpoint, or just working, like hustling for worthiness instead of standing in it, that's vulnerability is when you allow yourself to know you're worthy of it and you're going to stand firmly in it. And vulnerable means like opening up and being willing to take those risks, whether it's financially, emotionally, sharing things with, a potential business partner or a boss. Like I know that me and my boss connected a lot, very deeply on like emotional levels, because we both be vulnerable in that moment. And that's applicable to every single area in life, your relationships. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable and you're not, vulnerability can get confused because, there's so many layers to it. But when you're vulnerable, you're not expecting something from the other person. You're not expecting them to receive it in a negative way. You're sharing it because
like a gift.
And as a gift, exactly.
Yeah. Without expectation.
With at all, and it's like a ripple effect. It just it is so contagious. It's more contagious than this virus, and that's not me downplaying the situation either. That's a fact.
Right. So Brene Brown says that her life is split in two, before and after she heard Teddy Roosevelt's speech about Daring Greatly, which is what sparked her best-selling book, Daring Greatly. And if you haven't listened to that speech or heard that quote, like, go read it. It's fantastic. But to love is to be vulnerable, right? Like when we trust someone with our hearts, we are playing a game that involves the potential of grief or death or heartbreak. And some people would rather know now that, or rather know just like, I'm not going to love, I'm not going to bother loving anyone because that means that I could experience potential hurt and pain and grief. And that is a closed off situation. That is a boundary that I'm personally not willing to make for myself. I am wanting to put myself out there, and I know you are too, where we are wanting to step into the arena. That is what vulnerability is about like coming into the situation and saying, I'd rather have this experience and open up to what is possible than not have anything at all. I've only felt numb once in my life after a true trauma, and it was a really terrifying experience for me because I was like, I have bipolar disorder and I've had depression my whole life, but like I've never truly felt nothing, and that was really alarming for me. And I was like, I would much rather feel pain than this scary void. I also think that vulnerability has the potential to open us up to the concept of redefining failure. So we have a really weird relationship with this word. A lot of people don't want to even use the word failure. I've had a lot of really interesting conversations with people about it. If you are living a brave life, if you are daring greatly, if you are being vulnerable and you're putting yourself in the arena, as Brene Brown says, you will make mistakes and fail and fall down and whatever. And that does not mean you are done. It means you can call it failure. You can call it lessons. You can call it experiences. You can call it making mistakes. The important thing is just knowing that it's not going to be perfect and it's going to be messy, and your resilience is what's going to keep propelling you forward as long as you want to stand back up. And also, being vulnerable is about communication. Oh my God. We are both Gemini goddesses. We are born a day apart. I have quadruple Gemini in my chart. We are Mercury. We are about communication, honey. And also,
My boyfriend, my boyfriend hopped on. He should still be here, hopefully. But yeah, he knows communication's my new.
It's important. It's important, not just for relationships, but just everything. Honestly, vulnerability is about communicating what you are insecure about. We need to be communicating what we are ashamed about, what we're scared about, being willing to rip ourselves wide open and share what our insides look like to someone else. And that honesty opens up doors. It opens up the same way that you've opened up your soul, and you will receive either that same honesty and inspire someone else to love you deeper and understand you better and share themselves back to you, or they will say and show you that they are not ready for that level of courage yet. And now you know.
And now you know. Yeah, and vulnerability has the potential to open us up to so many things, and to go back to Brene Brown, because she's just the expert on this. But you can't have connection without vulnerability, and
not deep, meaningful ones.
Of our whole existence, without connection, the way that me and you connected through lightning bolts and Russell synchronicities, without connection, we die inside, and then eventually that probably leads to us dying as a planet. That's why I think the cosmos have blessed us with not having this happen until 2020, when technology is bumping and the connection. Because without it, we would with inside. I'm not feeling connected to my deeper purpose, even if I'm just going through my regular day-to-day life. I start to dwindle away, slowly and slowly, and it's crazy. But without not have true connection, and without true connection, you're not really living.
Yeah. Just a side note on looking for your purpose and defining your why. There's literally a book called Defining Your Why or something like that. It's called by Simon Sinek. I strongly recommend him also on this subject. It's more about leadership, but I think that also comes with vulnerability, and it's just a really amazing man, and his words are really great. So I recommend that as well. So let's move into tangible ways that you can practice and embrace vulnerability. So one of them is self-love and believing that you are enough and knowing that you can evolve into whoever you want to be. Recently, I have removed the term self-help from my dialogue in my vernacular. I know that it's something that we kind of just say, but I am more into the idea of personal development, evolution, and transformation, because self-help implies the idea that there's something wrong with you, or that there was in a past version of you. Chapter 1 was fine. Chapter 22 is going to be fucking great. So everything is good, and you just get to do different things, more things, new things. And also, recognizing that we are human, and not only do we judge, but we do care about what other people think. To say I don't give a shit what other people think. Yeah, I generally don't, but I do give a shit about what some people think. And that's what's important, is defining like a small group of people you genuinely trust and that are going to genuinely give you feedback and call you on your fucking shit. I have best friends that will tell me if I am being an ass or if I've overstepped a boundary, and they talk to me and they communicate and they say, that was not okay, or this made me feel this way, and here's how you can show me this in the future. And then I step up and I do something about it. And that's how we continue to grow and stay friends. And like, those are the people whose opinions I give a shit about. I don't care what strangers on the internet have to say about me. Everybody's got a fucking opinion. You don't have to care about what everyone thinks. You want to care about who the people that you trust and admire think. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah, different ways that you can practice, like tangible ways to practice vulnerability. Having hard conversations. If you're not ready to like directly talk to people, start with being vulnerable yourself. Like, allow yourself to sit with uncomfortable feelings. Right now is a time where people are numbing out. Liquor sales have skyrocketed. I mean, the future is just so uncertain, and I mean, I'm personally pretty excited, but I go through waves of being fucking absolutely goddamn terrible, and I'm sure a lot of you do. But instead of numbing out, a chance to just like do some one-on-one authentic vulnerability, sit with yourself. Don't necessarily have to meditate if that's not your jam, or if you've never done it. I'm not gonna like recommend for you to like go jump in and do that. Grab a journal and like just sit with yourself and think like, who am I without my job title? Was I identifying with who I was in my business world? Was I identifying with relationship? Be vulnerable with the identities you've kind of placed on yourself, and then strip those away and kind of get down to the core. Allow yourself to really kind of go over what you do, who you do it with, and why you do it. And that alone, and just like giving it the thought to think like, okay, the way that I'm living in some areas, or maybe multiple, isn't working for me. Let me take a look at this and see if I can fix it. I've had a lot of friends, like my daughter's godfather, who's my best friend in the entire world, another Gemini, doesn't act like one though. Still haven't gotten my hands on his full birth chart, but I will. He is like the most just like, I mean, I'm surprised he's not on here making fun of me right now in like a loving way, but he's so just very like grounded and like very like, he's just very. And recently he's gotten to a point where he's kind of questioning the way that he processes and his connections to people, and that's being vulnerable in itself. And that's a huge step, and it's such a small step, but it's such a huge step. So being able to sit and like look at the things in your life that you're not happy with, think about why you aren't happy with them, kind of even begin to think about changing it. That's one amazing tangible way to practice vulnerability, and that'll project you into the further depths of, because this shit has layers. And that's what, if you're a closed off person, we probably don't have enough time to talk about people who are already vulnerable, like people like me. I feel like that's to be alive for another time. But yeah, if you're someone who's like kind of like never really looked inward, I encourage you to do that and do it alone and look at what's not serving you, look at why, and journal or voice memo, and just give yourself a shot and see what comes up. And then reach out to people that you think might be able to help. I'm always available. I could talk about this shit for the rest of my life. That's my plan. That's the goal, is to be a walking motherfucking TED Talk. But yeah, so I think that's the best way to tangibly practice vulnerability. It's journaling.
It's funny because, like, yours are like completely overlapping with the other couple that I had, which was like, what armor do you wear or hide behind? Like, is it the internet? Is it a title? Is it like some jargon or research or theory or a relationship or a diagnosis? Like, are you letting something speak for you over and over again, and instead of like who you are at your core? And like, are those things are definitely a part of you, but they're not who you are? And how can you strip that armor down and completely reveal more raw parts of you? And then to just acknowledge that it's scary to get out of your comfort zone. And your comfort zone is a beautiful place. I have a full episode, a free episode of Supersonic Self-Love on it. It's a beautiful place to practice self-care and be peaceful with yourself, but it's not where growth happens. And it's okay if you only want to move your toes out, like you said, but every step is a good step. It's no small steps. It's fine. It's good. Even if you toe your baby steps out, every once in a while, that's good. Progress, micro movements is a thing. 5 minutes a day is better than nothing at all. And it's like, if you don't, you're just going to stay stagnant. Another thing is just to notice like what you are swallowing, what you are resisting, what you are hesitating on, and with who, when you're doing it, and why. And like, test out how it would feel if you were to let that out. What's the action, instead of thinking about the worst thing that could happen, what's the best thing that could happen if you were actually to say what was on your mind, to say what you feel to this person, or to do what you feel in your heart. And another thing is tapping, which we are going to do before we end.
And for those of you who don't know what tapping is, just because some people who, I don't know if anyone from my gang is on here, but emotional freedom technique, it's acupressure points, break up stagnant energy mixed with affirmations, and it does a lot of emotional clearing and allows you to kind of just digest and break through those different feelings, and it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's really great. So just real quickly before we do that, just focusing again on this specific time that we are in, this pandemic, and how we have to embrace vulnerability more specifically. I think that you mentioned boundaries earlier, and Brene Brown did research on people who are compassionate, and they made a definition for compassion, and they actually showed that people who were labeled as compassionate had the strongest boundaries. So in her words, they were compassionate because they don't subject themselves to the abuse of others. So when you know what you want and you ask for what you want, you tell others and you create a boundary, and you are not an asshole for creating a boundary. People are assholes for knowing when you have a boundary and then crossing it. Hard stop. You can love someone who is different from you, and you can even occupy a space with them. Like if you have a roommate that you are quarantined with right now or sheltering in place with, language is important. As long as you are clear about how it affects you mentally, physically, emotionally, etc., and you are clear about what you want and like how it'll make your life easier for people to give it to you. And or to know that they cannot give it to you. And then you get to create the boundary of knowing that you don't have to give them a full access pass to your life or a part of your life. And this is very important right now to establish boundaries. Like one of the ones that I created for myself during this time is that I'm not talking about the apocalypse. I'm just not doing it. I'm not engaging. I actually made a post about it, and it went bigger, like, and better than like any post that I've made in the past year, really. Like, people have shared it so many more times than people are feeling it. You can check it out on my page, but like honestly, I basically just said I'm choosing to not imagine the apocalypse and start visualizing the revolution. And I understand your fear. I'm not minimalizing this, but like I cannot control the fact if my power goes out. And I would rather spend my time and my energy focusing on imagining people being healed, medical workers finding a cure and being healthy, and people practicing CDC guidelines and not focusing on how things could get worse. What we think about, we attract. And literally, like a week before shit hit the fan in the United States, I made a video about why we like apocalyptic movies instead of feel-good ones. And representation and thoughts matter. And you can choose doom and gloom, but my boundary right now is to not engage in that. So I just want to like let people know, like I'm not engaging in that. There's a difference between being prepared and educated and catastrophizing.
And I think there's a and that I don't remember where I might have read it from you. I don't know where I read it, but it's people like apocalyptic movies and shit because it's easier to imagine the end of the world than to imagine the world that we're currently living in changing. It's easy to imagine the world fucking ending. Yeah. Ask if something's covering your mic because it just sounded a little bit funky.
I haven't touched it. Is it better now?
I forget, honestly. Talk one more time.
Hello.
How does that sound? Too angry and adorable. Oh, what a name.
Is it okay?
That sounds a little better. I think that sounds better. I just lost my... Oh, yeah. So it's harder for us to imagine a future where we can live comfortably and where capitalism isn't... I mean, okay, we won't get into that. But where, like, the majority of us are not living paycheck to paycheck and, like, struggling to fucking survive. I mean, I think about the fact that I am so successful in my specific career. It's very, very hard to do well in what I do and to make a good living from it. And I do. And I still am living in my parents' loft because it just financially doesn't make sense for me being a single mother. But even, I really don't think if I wasn't a single mother and I saw this option, I'd probably choose it because it's just this like rabbit hole of never-ending fuckhood that doesn't make sense. It's easier to imagine just all of us dying than to think that we're going to gain control. And if you can't see the situation causing this pause, making us all vulnerable, the ones at the top, those are the most motherfucking vulnerable people right now because they got, I mean, basically, a lot of us are ready with pitchforks, essentially, because we already knew that shit wasn't going right. And now, boom, thank Cosmos, thank Goddess, it's a fucking health crisis that's causing it because health crisis doesn't know any borders, doesn't have a fucking passport, doesn't give a flying fuck what the color of your skin is, what your socioeconomic status is, even though that helps because you get better medical care, so to say. But regardless, what a fucking godsend. And I really encourage everybody watching this, please see this as a godsend. I know it is so hard. I have not gotten a check. I have no idea when unemployment's happening for me, like in ever. But like, fuck it. Keep burning it until the flames of this fucking disaster that we've created of an economy illuminates the path where we need to go. Because this shit is fucking bananas and I'm over it. And so is pretty much like everybody else. So we're all vulnerable now. Embrace that vulnerability, soak in it, learn yourself, and know like there's no better time to practice vulnerability because everyone is vulnerable right now.
Yeah.
Every way or another.
And that's not to minimize like what people are going through on the actual deaths or anything. Yeah. And I just want to like recognize that we have just a little bit of time before we have to wrap up. And to know that like you don't have to be a productivity bunny at this time. Like a lot of people are using this time to be productive, but like some people don't have the opportunity to slow down and some people have to move faster than ever. But what you can do is for being vulnerable is to just like slow down and listen to your feelings. And just that thought work is just as important as like publishing a book right now. And also to just show up as yourself and be authentic. And we all want to be helpful and of service, and you can't force someone to do something they don't want to do, and you can't be of help if someone isn't willing to receive it. So vulnerability only goes hand in hand with being authentic, you know? Like we can't just, we can only just show up and be ourselves and be a prime example of what we want to see in the world instead of thinking we need to offer things for free constantly or just to be on all the time or whatever. So what is close to your heart? What do you wish to see more of in the world out there, and do that? And now let's go into the tapping so we have time to do that. Okay?
I'm ready.
All right. So if you have like stuff on your face or anything, wash your hands, and we're gonna get to tapping. We're gonna start on the karate chop point, which is this here on the side of your hand. And when I go over here, this is over on like the bra strap where it would touch your rib cage, and everything else you can just kind of see on my body, and you just follow along and repeat after me. Deep breath out. It's scary to be vulnerable.
It's scary to be vulnerable.
I am scared of being vulnerable.
Being vulnerable.
The idea of being vulnerable has not been taught to me.
The idea of being vulnerable has not been taught to me.
And it feels too far out of my comfort zone to attain.
Too far out of my comfort zone to attain.
I want to get raw, real, and honest.
Raw, real, and
but I do want to break down barriers.
I want to break down barriers.
And be more passionate, compassionate, and vulnerable.
Passionate, compassionate, and vulnerable.
Even though I haven't always been able to.
Even though I haven't always been able to.
I still deeply love, forgive, and accept myself.
I deeply love, forgive, and accept myself.
All right, now we're going to stop from up top of the head. I am scared of being vulnerable.
Scared of being vulnerable.
It's too fucking much.
Too fucking much?
What if I share what I'm really thinking?
What if I share what I'm really thinking?
And people hate it.
People hate it.
Or worse.
Or worse?
They hate me. What if I do what I really want to do?
What if I do what I really want to do?
And it doesn't work out?
Don't.
What if I fail?
No.
I don't like failing.
I don't like failing.
I don't even like the word failure.
Like the world fair you.
I've been told that failing is bad.
I've been told that failing is bad.
I am supposed to succeed.
I'm supposed to succeed.
It's just safer to stay small.
It's safer to stay small.
To stay in my bubble and not risk it.
In my bubble and not risk it.
If I don't go outside my comfort zone,
If I don't go outside my comfort zone,
then I can't be disappointed.
and I can't be disappointed.
Because I haven't tried anything in the first place.
But you haven't tried anything in the first place.
But that's not who I want to be.
But that's not who I want to be.
I want to put myself out there.
I want to put myself out there.
I know I was made for big, great things.
I was made for big, great things.
The idea of daring greatly speaks to me.
The idea of daring greatly speaks to me.
Vulnerability is scary to me.
Vulnerability is scary to me.
But I've done scarier things than that.
I've done scarier things than that.
I can handle stepping outside of my comfort zone.
Handle stepping outside of my comfort zone.
I've done it many times before.
Many times before.
If I hadn't, I wouldn't have ever found my favorite movie.
If I hadn't, I wouldn't have ever found my favorite movie.
Or my best friend.
Friend.
Or even be watching this video right now.
Partaking in this video right now.
Watching or tapping on my face with strangers on the internet.
Face with strangers on the internet.
I am clearly courageous.
Clearly courageous.
I am a capable, badass babe.
I'm a capable, badass babe.
I can absolutely be vulnerable.
I can absolutely be vulnerable.
I am proud of myself for being ready to open up.
For being ready to open up.
I am proud of myself for being ready to strip the fuck down.
Proud of myself for being ready to strip the fuck down.
I am proud of myself because I know what opportunities can bring me.
Myself because I know what opportunities can bring me.
Being vulnerable means I can deepen my relationships.
Being vulnerable means I can deepen my relationships.
It means I can get real with myself.
It means I can get real with myself.
I can meet my fear with love.
I can meet my fear with love.
I can hold my fear in my arms and thank it for keeping me safe.
Hold my fear in my arms and thank it for keeping me safe.
It did for a long time.
Long time.
But I am ready to step out of the arena.
Step out of the arena.
I am going to do amazing things.
I'm going to do amazing things.
I'm already doing amazing things.
Already doing amazing things.
I am bold, courageous, and vulnerable.
I am bold, courageous, and vulnerable.
It's okay for me to make mistakes.
It's okay for me to make mistakes.
It's okay for me to fall down.
It's okay for me to fall down.
I am determined to keep going. I choose courage over comfort.
I choose courage over comfort.
I choose to love even if it means that pain might follow.
I choose to love even if it means pain might follow.
I choose to take risks for great rewards.
I choose to take risks for great rewards.
I choose to love, forgive, and accept the most vulnerable parts of me.
Love, forgive, and accept the most vulnerable parts of me.
I choose to actively be daring greatly.
To actively be daring greatly.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Big breath in. And exhale. Awesome. All right. We only have a couple more minutes, so I quickly want to tell you that I have a free worksheet for you, and it is 10 affirmations on positive affirmations on vulnerability. So you can go to uncustomary.org/vulnerability-IG. I will put the link in my link tree. Again, uncustomary.org/vulnerability-IG. And also, there is a discount on the Uncustomary Babes membership right now. I know that everyone is, like, most people are struggling right now with money, and I want you to have personal development and self-love resources like this video, like tapping and everything like that. It's more than 50% off the entire yearly membership. It's $45 for the entire year. So instead of being $8 a month, it's basically less than $2 a month. And it's a one-time payment fee, and you get access for 365 days. It's not a subscription. It doesn't recur in your PayPal. And you basically just like get 365 days, and in a year, I'll reach out to you and say, do you want to keep going? And you can decide if you want to sign up again. And there's so much stuff in there that you can check out at uncustomary.org/membership. There's a link in my bio. Carly, tell us where people can find you.
You can find me here. This is my I am Carly B Instagram, and then I have my other Instagram because what I do for work is I am an eyebrow shaping artist, and I am an esthetician with 5 years of experience. My other Instagram is in this Instagram bio. It's Carly_RCO, and that's where you can find me if you're in the Boston area and you are looking for an eyebrow queen or a body waxing queen. I also do lash lifts and tints. I have no mascara on right now. These are my lashes that I listed in earlier. So that's what I do on the professional side. But yeah, you can follow me on both places to see what I'm doing.
Awesome. Yeah. Hit us up on Instagram. You can find us both. I also have a new inspiration hotline that's free. You can check out the message. And I'm actually changing it every Friday. So tomorrow I'll be changing it. So today's your last chance to call, and you can just hear the outgoing message or leave me a voicemail. I'll text you back. The number is in my Instagram stories, and on the contact, you can just click it and click call. So thank you. We got to shut it down now so that we can save it, and it'll go into our live because it doesn't do more than an hour. And we have talked our faces off because we are Gemini Mercury goddesses. And thank you, Carly, so much for doing this with me. I love you. And thank you all so much for joining in. It was so great. I hope that this was helpful for you, especially the tapping and the talking. And anything you want to add?
Maybe we can do more of these. Vulnerability has like